really quick, I just want to say a huge thank you for Elevate Rapid City for doing this for all of our business owners and, employees throughout Rapid City. It'll be awesome to just be connected throughout this time, where we're all virtual. We've all been kind of thrown into this little world. So thank you, Elevate Rapid City. If you haven't checked out their Facebook, they have a ton more trainings coming up. They have a whole list of them. I printed it off because I'm tuning into almost every single one of them. Everything from marketing to mental health to just business loans and finances. Really good resources for you to check out during this time. So be sure to look at that. And a little bit of housekeeping. There is a chat. So I see some of you are interacting, so that is awesome. Good morning to Veronica and Helen and Shiloh. I see you guys there. And then there also is a Q&A. So Mark and I really want this to be conversational. We don't have any slides for you today, so if you are a note taker, grab a pen and piece of paper or your phone and jot some notes down, but it's meant to be just kind of a conversation. So if you have questions, be sure to put them in the Q&A. There's a little screen that you can chat them there. And if you have tips and ideas, we're not know-alls. I mean, everyone has their own things that work for them. And if you kind of think of something that you're doing as you work from home and you want to share it with others, do. I am so excited about it. So all right. Well, I'm Jenna Sarda. I guess we should introduce ourselves, Mark.
Hi, Jenna. I'm Mark Truska.
Yeah. So we both work at Evergreen Media. We are social distancing to a max as Mark is across town. But I originally was going to do this webinar by myself, and then I was thinking about it, and I'm terrible at working from home. Even though I have done it and I have found things that have worked for me, I am one of those people that am a huge procrastinator, and I will figure out anything to do before doing the tasks that I need to. So I called in a pro, and Mark, do you want to kind of tell him a little bit about your background?
Sure. Well, I'm the senior content writer for Evergreen currently. I've been a professional writer for about 8 years or so, doing a lot of freelance work in the past and currently as well. So I'm pretty used to working from home.
Yes. And he's given us a lot of tips too. You actually wrote a blog about it.
I did?
Recently that is on Evergreen Media, rapidcity.com, evergreenmediarc.com. I keep saying it out, but anyway, it's on our blog. Check it out. He does have some really good tips, but we'll go through some of them right now. So why don't we just jump in and talk about the title a little bit?
The title is All Your Creativity, so go for it.
I'm super awkward when it comes to serious things, and I just think that this title shows a little bit of humor. But zombie is, I don't know. I feel like it's just like a whole new world that we're in. And if you're like me, when I get home, it's like shut everything off, just do your thing that is nothing work related. But now we're kind of thrown into this world that it's like you have to be on at all times, especially when you're working from home. So that's kind of what the awakening the zombie thing is, kind of, not just, I don't know, we'll get into it, but sitting in your pajamas all day and cleaning up the dishes instead of doing the work that really needs to be done. So that's a little bit about it. But we are going to talk about some tips how to work at home efficiently and effectively with some productivity tips. So But before we get into like the actual working part, let's kind of dive into the setup, the workspace. So, Mark, I see
Yeah,
that
well,
you.
it's definitely important to have a dedicated workspace. Obviously, ideally a home office, but the reality is that not everybody can afford to have a separate home office or even have the space. So I think as long as you have a dedicated area within your home that you can work from without distraction, that's really the important thing. Obviously, a desk and a chair are essential. I don't think it's a good idea to work from the couch. It's too comfortable. Uh, the TV's usually right there, and that can be distracting. So find yourself a quiet space if you can, sort of apart from everything else, and do your work there. That's what works best for me anyway.
Yeah, I am a little different.
Yes. You know
I
that.
even do this at work. I cannot stay in one spot for very long. I kind of just hop around, and so I break it up into segments. So like for a little bit I will work at my desk, and then I'll move to my kitchen table, and then if it's nice out I'll bring my laptop outside and read emails and check up on it and just rotate through them. I don't know what it is, but the space gives me like new ideas and makes a different perspective, I guess.
But that's okay. I mean, that just illustrates the point that there is no right or wrong. You just need to find whatever works for you and stick with it.
Oh,
So if
for
you like
sure.
to move around, go for it.
Yeah. The biggest thing though is not having that distraction though.
Exactly. Yeah.
Uh like I have a dog, he's very rambunctious, and
Mhm.
I try to make sure that wherever I go, he's locked out of it because he will make an appearance at any time. And although he's adorable, it's probably not best when I'm on a Zoom call. So
Yes.
perfect. And the other thing while you're getting set up is kind of the apps. We have a comment from Darlise. I'm really sorry if I mispronounced your name. They've been using Microsoft Teams app. Mark, what are some that you've used that are?
Well, that's a good one. I know Teams is really popular right now. At Evergreen, and also personally, I just really like Slack. I think that's a good way to communicate back and forth. You can go old school and do Skype if you're so inclined. And obviously, right now, Zoom seems to be all the rage.
I just saw my name pop up. So
Yeah,
someone, that was really weird.
we
Sorry.
see here at Express, it said.
That's funny. But yeah, all are really great. Just try them out. Google Duo is another one. Obviously, you can only have two-way chats, but if you don't have Slack, I think that's a really good one too. But getting set up and making sure you know how to use them is really important. So perfect. So now that we're all set up, oh, bandwidth. That's a really good one too. Making sure that you kind of have the internet capabilities of having all these technology devices running. You know, especially if you have kids at home or a spouse working at home too, that can really eat up kind of your bandwidth. So if you do have kind of a lag on your internet connection, talk to your provider, or let's see, I guess ask them to get off when you need to, schedule some time. We'll talk about scheduling.
That's true. I had read that recently myself, that especially if you're on a video conference, for instance, it's probably not a good idea to be streaming a movie from another room. So yeah, do what you can to limit your bandwidth.
Yeah, for sure. While we're on technology, Shiloh had a question on tips to make Slack more effective. For us, we have different channels set up. So it's all sorted by different topics. So we're a publishing company, so we have different titles and different clients for marketing. And so we have individual channels for that to kind of organize our conversation. And you can make those private or public, which is nice because if you have a team project that's specific for you guys, you can make it private and kind of hash out details. So I don't know why I'm sorry for technology issues. I am now joined on this call like 3 times. So
Yeah, I see that.
but
Well, were you going to talk about some of the Zoom fails that you mentioned?
oh my gosh, yes. So that was one thing to just remember that you can see each other whether you think about it or not. I just had to learn how to like turn off my mute so that you could actually hear me. So yes, but if you Google Zoom fails, I don't know if they've been popping up on your social media, Mark, but they're hilarious. But
Yeah.
I feel so bad for them, like especially the ones that they get up and they're not wearing their pants. And just because you're going to go get coffee, you can't just be walking around in your skivvies. It's just not okay. So, yeah, that actually is a perfect segue into actually working. And number one tip is to get dressed.
Absolutely, yes.
Seriously, just get dressed.
You don't necessarily have to wear like a 3-piece suit, not that anybody does anymore.
Right.
But you also don't want to lounge around in your bathrobe or your pajamas all day. That's not very conducive to getting work done. So I like to strive for a happy medium. I've got my Evergreen pullover here, and yes, I'm wearing sweats, but it's comfortable. It works for me. So find something that works for you as well and stick with that.
I saw a stat that Walmart is actually like seeing a soar in sales for tops, not bottoms. That just made me laugh. But yes, when I work at home, my black yoga pants get a lot of use, but still try and dress good for meetings and things like that. So, and the other thing too is getting ready kind of helps you in that routine, right? Like you're getting ready for the day just as you always did. Ladies,
exactly, yeah.
I don't know about you, but when I actually do my hair and put on makeup, I feel like I can conquer the world. Maybe that means, you put on a necklace or earrings or whatnot, and it's good. I mean, you can do anything.
And I know some people that work from home that they'll like roll out of bed 5 minutes before they start their day and then just do a shower hours into their day. I don't know. I don't like that. That wouldn't work for me. I feel like you need to treat your working from home day just like your office day and kind of stick to the same rules.
Yeah. I am one of those people that I'm not a morning person at all. My team knows that. And I love working from home because I literally can wake up 10 minutes early or like before I need to start working, get my coffee, put myself together, and then I'm ready to roll. So,
well, if that's your normal routine, more power to you.
Yes, exactly. Like we've been saying, this is not a copy and paste situation. Nothing is. So,
I just saw a comment that mentioned having TV or music on in the background. That can help you focus. I'm very much a music person, so I definitely have music playing at all times except during Zoom presentations.
Yeah, same here. My favorite is Spotify playlists that are lo-fi, L-O-F-I. It's kind of like ambient house music, and it's kind of like no words, but good beats. So, yeah, perfect. Well, talking about a routine and what you do, Mark, I feel like you're better at routines than I am. What are some of your tips?
For
like you talk about maintaining regular work hours.
Yeah, definitely. You want to, if you work 8 to 5 in the office, work 8 to 5 at home. I know that it's tempting to log on earlier and later you can get drawn into checking email and Slack and things like that. But I do think it's important to try to stick as close to your regular schedule as you can. If you take a 15-minute break for coffee at 9:30 every day, stick to that. If you go to lunch at noon, go to lunch at noon, take your full hour, come back. Try to work right up until 5 o'clock if those are your normal hours, and then turn your computer off afterwards. It's the best thing you can do. It's very important to have that separation between your work life and your personal life.
Yeah, that's huge. I am so bad at that. So, all right. What if your employer expects you to be accessible the entire day?
Would they expect you to be accessible all day when you're at work, though? I mean, you're going to have a lunch hour.
Yeah.
I
I think
think just work with your employer.
Yeah, I think during these times, communication is so key. And we'll kind of go into that about like managing your expectations, but communicate. If you can't be available all day, I know that this has kind of disrupted a lot, especially for parents. You have your kiddos home and you're having to play teacher and employee and, just all these things in one space, and it's difficult. I am one of those that when I'm working at home, I can't get it out of my head that I have chores to do. And so I set up like time blocking. That is my go-to for working at home. I set up, in this 2-hour block, I need to accomplish this, and then I'm taking 15 minutes to do this. That's a little off, and then I go back and forth. But then I recoup that too. I don't just shut off at 5. I might work till 7 o'clock because I've taken breaks in between throughout the day. But
and that's something I mentioned in the blog as well. It's okay to take time out to do simple chores, like maybe throw a load of laundry in the wash. I've got the dishwasher running right now. You just don't want to take a break in the middle of the day and start cleaning your toilets.
Right, or take a nap if you're me.
Yeah.
But, having Slack is super helpful too. I know that, we have it all downloaded on our apps and it's accessible so that even if we're not logged into our computers or our desktops, it can still notify you via your cell phone and you can answer them right away. So that is helpful. Talk about check-ins, Mark. You're really good at scheduling check-ins.
Well, I think it's important just to maintain that social aspect with your team as much as possible. That's probably the biggest downside to working from home. You don't have that interaction with your coworkers, and that can be isolating, especially if you're an extrovert. So it's good just to check in periodically. Like we keep mentioning Slack, for me, that's the best way to just touch base with people. If you don't have Slack, email works. Microsoft Teams would work, obviously, whatever platform you guys are using. Even just an occasional phone call now and then, just to stay in the loop with each other.
It's amazing how powerful like a voice-to-voice conversation can be. Even if you can't do face-to-face, it's like very good to like hear another human.
Yes.
So yes. And yes, Shiloh, super true that, Rachel, sorry, I see Elevate Rapid City. Slack has a video feature, which is huge. Mark and I just did that earlier to run through our outline. It's just kind of nice to see those facial expressions and emotions while you're chatting things on. So
right. Yeah.
Another thing too, so the last tip that we have is kind of managing your expectations. We have kind of alluded to this, that it's a different world, it's a different pace, especially if you're not used to being connected to technology at all times. This is just a new world to you. And what I would suggest is just kind of knowing what your values are. I know that sounds super cheesy and very much like, I know what I'm talking about, but knowing kind of where you put your values as far as like, my family comes first, then work, then this, then that, kind of helps schedule out that time. So for instance, creating that schedule that, from 7 a.m. when I wake up to 8:30 when I log in for work, that's my self-care time. That's me getting ready. That's me kind of just preparing for the day. And then, it goes into work because that's my next priority. Things like that. Just time blocking those values can be really helpful. And then understanding what's a must. I'm a to-do list person. Do you write to-do lists, Mark?
Totally. All the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I have, we use a program called ClickUp at our office. It's kind of a production management, task manager thing. I know others are like Asana is really great. Basecamp is cool. There's some like personal ones too. Even like there's a reminders app that comes on your phone. I'm kind of old school. I just write it down on a piece of paper and cross it off. But having those like 5 to 10 tasks that have to get done today will really help kind of manage that expectation that you don't have to get a week's worth of tasks done in 24 hours.
And I think when you work from home, it's even more important than ever to have that to-do list. If you're in the office, I mean, your boss could come up to you and give you a friendly reminder that something is due today, but you're really on your own when you're at home. So it's nice to have that checklist and just go through it and make sure you've got everything done that needs to be done that day.
Oh, for sure. Yes. And Mark, you had never heard of this. I hope that everyone, I mean, maybe I'm just like way out, but like, has anyone heard of Eat the Frog? Where it's like, okay, so it's a book and it's a really good book for procrastinators like me.
Well, Helen has heard of it, so there you go.
Yeah. And truthfully, like if there's tasks that are simple, like especially admin tasks, I don't like checking my emails. I just don't. But I have millions of them. That's exaggerating a little bit. I probably have like 70 in the morning that I need to go through. But it clears my head if I just get them wiped out, get rid of the junk mail, respond to what I need to. And I would call that eating the frog, just because I know I'm going to work better for the rest of the day if I can clear out that inbox. So.
Still don't know about that title, but I'm sure it has a meaning.
It works. It really does. See, Helen, you've heard about it, so we're good. And then going back to kind of doing the best that you can. You are human. Yes, sometimes we think that we're superhuman because we have great days, but sometimes days don't go as planned, and just call it a throwaway day, right? Like it didn't exist. Tomorrow's a new day. You can try it again. If something didn't work really well this day, tomorrow maybe try and switch it up a little bit. Figure out what works for you until you kind of get into that rhythm of a routine. Yeah. All right. That's all I had. Do you have any other like tips, Mark?
Well, I just think it's important to understand that this is a different way of doing things for a lot of people, and there's going to be a learning curve. Don't beat yourself up if you don't get it right away. It does take getting used to, and just hopefully that these tips that we've shared will help you guys out if you are working from home.
Yeah, for sure.
For the foreseeable future.
Yes. Awesome. Do you have any tips for helping team members who might not be as techie? I'm not very techie, but thankfully I call our IT guy, John, if I'm having any issues. But Mark, what do you have?
I don't know. I'm like you. I'm not very techie either, but I seem to manage okay. So
yeah, I feel like everyone has a lot of patience right now just because this is really new.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to Google things and just try them. I feel like the digital world is very forgiving, and if you click on something wrong, it's like a Command Z, or I don't know what PCs are, but it's like you can redo it. It's okay. You're not gonna like break anything super bad. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Like you said, Google, that's pretty much everybody's IT line nowadays. You can find anything on there. So
and YouTube has like walkthrough things on everything, so many tutorials. So
Mhm.
don't be afraid to use your resources.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Like, comments? All right. Well, I hope you guys found this helpful. It is a whole new world out there. We are going to be trying to keep posting tips for working online, for working at home, and just kind of in this new space on our blog. So be sure to check that out. Elevate Rapid City will be posting this on their YouTube channel. So if you missed it, if you like wanted to refer back to anything, be sure to check out their YouTube channel. We are doing a panel on Friday. So if you have any questions about marketing in general, whether it be online marketing, social, messaging and tone, whatever, we're going to have a panel on Friday. So I hope you tune in. And have a great Monday, everyone.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.